Hey, Crystal Maiden here for the final part of Sonic Pocket Adventure. Well, until the extra video anyways. I have bad memories of those launcher chairs. Unfortunately, in Sonic 2, the launcher chairs would often kill you because there's still a speed cap in the air, and so you would get thrown into a pit because you didn't know you weren't supposed to be holding right in them. But in this game, launcher chairs don't really kill you all that much. You still have some tense platforming here. It's mainly tense because, again, the camera moves up when you jump, so you very clearly can't see the platforms below you. And what's tense about this is, remember in Wing Fortress Zone where you had to deal with these fires? Well, the fire didn't actually hurt you in Sonic 2. But here, you have to wait until the flames turn gray, and only then can you go through them just fine. Because apparently gray fire is a thing that exists and can't actually hurt you. You gotta time your jumps pretty carefully. This level is pretty hard, but I don't think it's outright bullshit hard. Like, I didn't think it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was gonna be. It's kind of a maze, but not really. Most of the time you can just go right. Unfortunately, you can't do what you did in Sonic 2, where you just ran into the fan and took a hit, and then could just skip half of the level. The Cluckers shoot the instant they appear on screen. So, they're really cheap in that regard. It's very easy for them to hit you. Like, sometimes it can be hard for me to figure out how it's supposed to progress here, but it's not nearly as much of a maze as in Wing Fortress Zone, where I was literally going around in circles. Yeah, that's always frustrating. And that's why vertical platforming sucks. I was literally just taken, like, all of my progress was just ripped away from me because I fell down there. I would have preferred falling to a bottomless pit at that point. You gotta be careful landing on those things. And this is a timing minigame too. You're better off killing that thing so it won't bother you too much. But yeah, those gray platforms up there are the single most annoying gimmick of this entire level. It's not so bad landing on one of these things. Yeah, landing on these things is kind of awkward too. You stand on the slope and just suddenly start walking backwards and falling off it. But the timing for jumping and landing on that thing is pretty precise because you gotta jump pretty far to land on it. And it's not so bad landing on one of those great platforms. It's when you have to land on more than one of them that it starts to become a problem. So you might be wondering why Chaos Emeralds are called emeralds. I mean, emeralds are supposed to be green, but Chaos Emeralds are all sorts of different colors. Apparently, it's because emeralds basically means gems in Japan. The Japanese word for emerald is a general word for gem. So there you go, it makes sense. Plus the Chaos Emeralds, so even if they were regular emeralds, they'd still be colored different colors by the magic in them or something. The music for Aerobase Zone is actually an 8-bitified version of the Death Egg Zone theme in Sonic 3. And Sky Chase's theme in this game is based on the first multiplayer level in Sonic 3. And I think it fit very well. It fit a lot better than the boring Sky Chase music of Sonic 2, which just drained you. And I was so anxious at this part that I didn't want to let go because I thought it would send me to my death. Like, this is a hard level, but it's not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. I didn't have to reload save states too much or anything. Yeah, I had to wait for that platform to come back because I didn't want to make a blind jump and risk falling to my death. I wanted to get through that section as fast as possible, so I jumped over one of the platforms. Thankfully, that's something you can get away with doing there. I feel like I didn't have enough speed to run up that wall there, but I'm not complaining. And here is the most annoying part of the level for me. You gotta time jumping into that platforming section just right. And how did I beat that on the first try? I'm not sure how I managed to beat that without screwing up a whole bunch. How are you supposed to know that if you jump up there, then suddenly you'll be brought upwards here? It's something you can only find out through trial and error. I'm glad I didn't get stuck there. And here's Silver Sonic, who has the music from Doomsday Zone and Sonic 3 and Knuckles playing here. And honestly, I think it fits them really well because it sounds like a theme suited to a robot. And the strategy for this is basically the same as it was in Sonic 2, only it's not nearly as easy because you can't just spin dash at the beginning when he's coming down to get 4 cheap hits in. And I think he takes longer to die because of that. Also, it's weird, you don't actually destroy him, he just runs off. Why did Eggman send Silver Sonic of all things to attack you instead of Metal Sonic? Like, Metal Sonic must have been pissed. Maybe that's why we don't see Silver Sonic again. Maybe Metal Sonic actually followed him here and destroyed him. And this is essentially Metropolis Zone. Only it has the boring gray aesthetic from Scrap Raid Zone. Act 1 of this, at least, I find to be really fun and enjoyable. I love how many of the fast-paced gimmicks there are. Although those crusher things are kind of annoying because you gotta... It doesn't allow you for a very long amount of time. You have to run at it at a very precise time in order to avoid getting crushed by it. There's not much leeway time. And the conveyor belts are kind of annoying, but if you just keep jumping on them, they're not a problem. Those things don't really have the wonky hitboxes that they did in Sonic 2, so I was able to jump on it just fine. But yeah, lots of running at walls. You land on a platform to make a floor for you. Cool, I broke 2 of them at once. There's also lava here, just like in Metropolis Zone. And you've got these things from Labyrinth Zone. I wish they didn't move so slowly. But for the most part, I really like Act 1 in this level. Like, I love the yellow triangle things that bounce you up really fast. And the levels got satisfying platforming as well. Like, the platforms that have spears coming out of them in a clockwise direction, they're pretty. They're tense, but they're a good challenge. Although it took me forever to realize that the spears came out of them in a clockwise pattern and it wasn't just completely random. You know what that red window looked like? It looked like a red version of the warp tiles from Link to the Past. That's kind of weird. And look, he's in his modern design. Honestly, I prefer his military jacket. I think he looked kind of silly as a classic. And granted, he's supposed to be silly, but he looks like that and it makes it impossible for me to take him seriously to begin with. Act 2 is a lot more annoying than Act 1. Bullshit! How did that kill me? It acted like I had been crushed, but why? I wasn't crushed against anything. It just came out of the wall and killed me. And I hate these things. The bolts and the slicers are the biggest reason why I hated Metropolis Zone instead of loving it from its level design. The slicers are just as annoying here as they are in Sonic 2. They're still kind of cheaply placed, although they're not as bad. And again, the timing for not getting crushed by those things is pretty precise. And I got a game over there, because you can get crushed on the walls, on the ceilings too. Why isn't it working? Why did it cancel out? Yeah, I don't know why it was so difficult for me to continue. I was actually kind of worried, but thankfully I managed to get to work, so I didn't have to reload the save state that I made at the very beginning of Gigantic Angel and do it all over again. Why did I get hurt by the side of that spike? It's like the Game Gear games all over again. Yeah, I think it's about here where I realized the pattern for the spears. Because it very clearly goes in a clockwise pattern. So you can tell by looking at them for long enough when you're supposed to jump on them. And just like in Sonic 2, you stand on these things and then they launch you. I hate these things because it takes too long for them to send you to the next destination. Like, I would prefer to just be able to go forwards instead. But yeah, I love the fast parts of this level. Like, I love these parts. Although I don't look back fondly on that part of Act 1 where I had to jump off a wall that I was sent upwards. I always hate it when I have to do that to progress with the level. I backtracked here because I didn't realize that I was going the wrong way. So I guess that's kind of a detriment to the game's level design, that I didn't realize that I was backtracking. And I had to go all the way back to the checkpoint again. Sonic 1 has a debug mode, which I mentioned earlier. But it also has a combination of the debug mode and level select as a cheat of its own. What you do is that you go up, down, left, right, up, A if you're on a GameCube controller, and C if you're on a Genesis controller. And then D, C, left C, right C, A start. And then you hold down the A button until Sonic appears on the screen. You can actually kill these guys. Like in Sonic 2, you can never kill them because they were all trapped in the wall. I love that pose. He's like, what should I do until Sonic gets here? Adds a bit of personality to him. You don't usually see that in 2D games. I had such a hellish experience with this boss fight. You could stand on that explosion. You probably noticed that. Well, I didn't. I'm not sure how you're supposed to know that you can stand on the explosion and jump up to hit the boss that way. It's sort of like the boss of Hydro-City Zone Act 2 in that respect. Like, you use rising water, but I got hurt by that thing. I got hurt by the explosion. So how the hell was I supposed to know that I could use it to attack Eggman without having to wait for him to lower down? So when I played this boss, it took me over 7 minutes. Probably longer than that. And it was such a frustrating, boring experience. I always had to wait for him to lower down and jump into him when he was low enough to the ground. I did a lot of reloading save states because a lot of the times I got so frustrated I would lose my shield, and so I would reload the state just to keep it. But eventually I decided to give up on that because the boss fight was dragging out forever. And you're lucky that I did so much editing for this because this boss fight lasted so much longer than I made it look. It's just so unintuitive that you can apparently use the explosion to propel yourself up to him. Thankfully, this boss is pretty easy, because I was pissed that I was expected to fight another boss after what was very clearly the hardest boss in the game. Like, there's more? Really? Thankfully, this boss is pretty easy, just jump into him. The real goal of this boss is to constantly jump into the emerald at the back of it to knock it out of it, and to collect the emerald that way. So, if you get all of the special stages completed, all of it is for nothing if you don't knock that emerald out of the Eggmobile and collect it. And I didn't get to show it off because the boss was done over with so quickly, but if he grabs you with the arms that he shoots out, he has this hilarious looking grin on his face, like, ooh, I got Sonic! But yeah, knocking him down like that was so satisfying. I'll show off the supersonic section in the extra video. Obviously, I wasn't motivated enough to try to beat all the special stages, even with save states. Well, I guess this was the best cutscene that the Neo Geo could manage. Why couldn't they do a cutscene like this? Like this looks pretty good. There's motion and color. Why did they have to do Why they have to do it colorless still images for... I don't know. Anyways, that was Sonic Pocket Adventure. And it's ironic that I like this game so much, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of Sonic 2. Like, I found it really cheap. It often had its difficulty based on trial and error, and you didn't know all the traps of the game. But for this game, I didn't feel like I was constantly running into badniks, and part of it was because Sonic isn't on the exact center of the camera all the time. Like, he's on the left center of the camera if he's going to the right, and if he's going to the left, then he's on the right side of the camera. So it feels a lot more fair in the difficulty balancing. Like, overall, this game is pretty easy, but it's not a boring kind of easy at all. It's really fun. This game does a really good job of recreating Sonic 2, to the point where I consider this to be better than Sonic 2. Controversial opinion, I know, but I prefer most of the levels in this game to their Sonic 2 counterparts. Like, Aquatic Relic Zone, even though I couldn't sail the water, at least its level design wasn't all messy. Like, it was hard to tell which alternate route was which in the Sonic 2. See you for the next part, where I'll be ending off this game.